You see it, Tony?
I do. Okay. All right. We'll resume our regular session right now with the next item on the agenda, the personnel report.
Motion to approve. Wayne.
Second, Chris.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Is there any opposition? Motion carries. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is old and new business. Warden?
Okay, under old business, first thing I have are the fingerprinting fees. At last month's meeting, the board had asked that myself and the sheriff reach out to the court administrator and clerk of court's office to have a discussion about the live scan fees, fingerprinting fees. We held that on December 9th. Nobody from the clerk of courts was involved in the meeting, but I, as well as Greg, had conversation with the clerk of court's office in regards to that. Greg felt that, this was something that, we should be able to do right away as far as implementing the change to one fee and, even kind of put it into effect that we don't accept any monies and change the fee status even prior to, approval of the state from their review. The clerk of court's office as well is in favor of this proposed move to a single fee, as it would help streamline their process as well. Defendant, could have the option of paying at the magistrate level, or just letting it be put onto their court costs and fees and, collected at a time when they pay those off. And also what I gather from Karen at the clerk of court's office, that these fees, once monies are paid, they are directly sent into the line item for, I guess, the live scan. That initially, when we, as it is now, when we collect the monies here, we take it to the appropriate office, whether that be the magistrate's office or the clerk of court's office if the preliminary hearing is already passed. And then if we send it to the magistrate's office, the monies are then green sheeted to the clerk of courts or collections office once the case is moved to the common pleas area. So now, with that being said, I'm again looking to change the fees to a single rate of $150 for criminal fees and $50 for employment prints, with no monies being collected at the prison. And the reason for my recommendation in raising the fees is because these are the original fees that were set 10 plus years ago when we implemented the live scan process. And, with ever growing costs and stuff like that, we felt that, this would be able to cover, all of our costs and in the process. So I hope this answers all the questions I'd sent out, my summarization on this to the board. And, if there are any other questions or concerns, I'll gladly try to answer them at this time.
Is there any further discussion on the matter?
So I think the only question I can recall, I take it there's no advantage of getting discounted fees paid earlier to the county of having those immediately dispersed. They're going to wait until the person is sentenced at the end, which could be months later.
Yes, Judge. I'm looking at the past year of reports from LiveScan. We're really only looking at about anywhere from 20 to 30, 35% of these individuals paying in advance. So, it's not what the previous prison board had thought when they implemented this process, thinking that they would be in the 50, 60, 70 percentile in collecting fees. It's a lot lower than what was thought at that time. And, it just doesn't seem that.
what's the dollar amount? I mean, I know you said 25, 30%. What's the dollar amount, and what is the delay? I mean, if it's not collected early on, what time passage does the county have to wait until they would get the fee?
Well, once individuals start paying on their court costs, those monies, I guess, from what I understand from the clerk of court's office, that were on the top of the priority list for that money to come directly to us. So, they had talked about allowing individuals to pay it prior to conviction at the magistrate levels if they felt they wanted to do that, and if at that point, then those monies will be sent to us right away when it would be transferred down to the collections agency once it's at the common pleas level. And then if not, if they pay it during their court costs, it would it's already at the top of the pecking order, so to speak, to be taken out and sent to the live scan line item. Once
But I
fees.
would think, and I don't claim to know for sure, I would think that's probably a 6 or 9 month delay, between when they would normally pay it, when they get their fingerprints, versus when the case is resolved, maybe 6 or 9 months down the road.
Mhm.
So my gut belief would be there's probably a 6 or 9 month delay at a minimum. But what dollar figure are we talking about? I know you said it's 25 or 30%. I don't know if that's $2,500, if that's $25,000. I don't know.
Well, just going off of, I have the November monthly live scan report that I sent out to the board. There were a total of 71 individuals that were fingerprinted. Of those, 16 paid early, and that was a total of $1,200. 55 did not pay, for a total of $5,500, and the total revenue for that for the month of November would have been $6,700 total.
Okay, so it's probably 12,000. I don't know, 12 to 14,000 a year.
Yes.
Okay, so I guess the question then becomes, from a financial cash flow aspect, is there any advantage to the county of getting the money, that 12 or 14,000, 6 or 9 months earlier? I don't know. That's financial.
Yeah, that's something I would probably defer to the controller for any comments he may have on that.
I mean, it quite honestly, it doesn't impact the court at all. I mean, whether it's done early or late, the intent was to get money earlier to the county. But if there's no real benefit to the county, or the benefit is less than the benefit of having a single fee, that's fine. I mean, however, I guess we feel about approaching it.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that, I think I said this before, is we kind of have two different issues here. We have one issue on the collection, and then we have one issue on the imposition of the fees and how that's done. And I guess the question is do we need to separate those two things out? Because, we seem to be spending a lot of time on changing the amounts and deciding whether it should be paid up front or not.
I don't know. I would be willing to change the upfront collection. A couple of reasons, maybe. That way they're not collecting more money at the prison than they have to. It goes right on the record in the collections then. As far as the fees, that's a separate issue. And I would agree that we should look at that fee structure and do that.
Yeah. I mean, one of the issues we had was not only the cash flow at the prison, but also the warden's time in distributing those proceeds.
Correct.
And it doesn't seem to be a good use of the warden's time to be, driving those things around. So, from my point of view anyway, I think that, we should, the accepting of those fees at the prison should cease, even if we don't make a change to, the fee collection.
Warden, do you have the capability of credit cards for the collection on the other fees then?
We do not have any ability in utilizing credit cards here at all. No, I mean, that would probably be where we would have to, purchase or get some type of, scanner set up here.
I think that might be the, one of the best approaches to take up there. It helps eliminate checks or cash, whatever.
Well, but I think, Wayne, if I understand what's being suggested, there would be no fees collected at the prison. It would all be collected after the person has been sentenced, and it would go through clerk of courts, and then clerk of courts would give a priority distribution to the county for the fingerprint fees. I think that's what I'm hearing is what's being suggested.
Yeah, but, well, yeah, the other issue is, don't we do the photos and everything for background checks and that we collect?
Well, they do. No, it's a live scan fee. So the live scan fee for criminals involves fingerprinting and photographing. That's true. But I'm saying, if I understand what the word is suggesting, and I say I'm not against it. I'm just saying I think he's saying there would be no involvement in payment, whether it be by credit card, in cash, by check, whatever, at the prison. All the payments would flow through the clerk of courts once the case has been disposed of.
On the criminal end, yes. I mean, one thing
I'm talking criminal. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah. One thing we would still have to collect monies on would be for individuals that want fingerprints for employment. We don't actually do background checks or pictures or photos or anything in that. It's just strictly the fingerprints, and we give them copies of the cards. And at this point right now, we charge them $25 for that. Now that money is actually done through the green sheet process, so that's a little different. Then we do green sheets here, obviously for room and board and other reasons as well. So, that isn't as cumbersome as the fact of every week taking monies around, to the different magistrate offices and things of that nature. So.
Tim, if this is Chris, I'd just weigh in again, not to segue into something else or sidetrack us, but I do believe Wayne hit upon something. We are making a conscientious effort as the controller and the treasurer note to remove cash as much as possible due to some of the problems it presents. So I would ask maybe in a subsequent meeting, we actually discuss what Wayne brought up. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure, so Warden, part of this proposal is that if a defendant would opt to pay this early, they're still going to be able to do that at the magistrate, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I think that's true, Tony, but I don't know that there'd be any incentive or any advantage to the defendant to do that. I mean, maybe they'd want to for some reason. I don't know what it would gain them, but maybe they would want to.
Yeah, I think you just give them the option and see what happens.
Okay.
So the warden's recommending that we move on his recommendation. Is there a motion that we could entertain? Absent a motion, are we saying that it's going to require further study?
Tim, could you propose the language of a motion for us to consider making a motion on?
I could say that, make a motion to stop collecting the live scan fingerprinting fees at the correctional facility, forthwith, and study a little further as to whether or not we want to change the fees from what they currently are right now.
Okay, so I think where there's actually at least two motions there, Tony, don't you, about stopping the live scan fee collection at the Carbon County Correction Facility and diverting it through the other process, and then the second one is the change of fees. So I'll make a motion to change the fees.
Okay.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Is there any opposition? No. Motion carries.
Yeah.
And then we have one outstanding matter about the collection of those fees. Is there a motion that someone wants to put forth on the cessation of collecting the fees at the correctional facility?
And before any motion is made, the only thing I would think that some consideration should be given to, I suspect that there's a number of criminal defendants basically in the line, in the chain of processing going through the system, that have probably been given notices at the magistrate level that these fees should be paid when they appear at the prison. So you may have a number of people coming there expecting to make payments, but that's for what it's worth. But I have no idea what number that could be.
Yeah, I would also say, I would suggest we table for 1 month and reach out to the clerk of courts for her input in regards to it, since she is a critical cog in the process.
Okay. So is that an amendment to the motion then, Commissioner?
Well, yeah, we actually have a motion to table, so that
Right.
now requires, if you get a second, then you have to vote on the motion to table right away.
Okay,
So is there a motion to second? Is there a second to the motion to table?
I'll second it.
Okay, then vote on the motion to table.
all in favor of the motion to table signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Okay, motion carries.
Okay. Second thing I have on old business is the prison study, Sheriff. If you have any
Okay.
update on that.
Yeah, I'll just comment on that. So between the last prison board meeting and this meeting, the salary board met and approved the 2 positions for the individuals to conduct the prison study. The original agreement was that it was going to begin in the first of the year. I have spoken to the evaluators, and they are suggesting that because of the current problem with COVID, that it be delayed for 2 months until about March. And I think that's probably a good idea. So that's where we are there, unless there's further discussion that we should begin the study earlier than that.
Will we have to amend the agreement with them because of the timeline that may have been in the agreement and I don't recall?
No, because the timeline was taken out, just that they were going to be temporary employees. So I think we're covered on that.
Okay.
And that's all I have on the prison study
Yeah,
update.
what happens now, they're officially county employees. So are we going to be paying additional benefits on them or anything now up until that point? Or is that
They're not getting benefits.
problems?
Yeah. So Commissioner Notstein, we're not even going to move forward with their employment until the time comes to begin the assessment.
Okay,
So right now, the positions are there, but they're vacant until we begin the process of the evaluation.
all right.
Gordon?
Okay, the last thing I have under old business is the radiation safety officer training proposal. This was something that was tabled by the board last month, that these wanted to wait until the installation of the machine. And as I had said earlier, under the maintenance report, they started the installation yesterday and are anticipating being finished up sometime Friday. So just to remind everybody on the radiation safety officer proposal, it was from a William Hoke from Boalsburg, Pennsylvania, who will conduct an 8-hour training on 4 or 5 of my staff members that are here to certify them as radiation safety officers for the body scanner here at the facility. And the total cost of that would be $1,300, which I had made the not motion, but to actually take those monies out of the commissary fund as well. So
Okay,
I'm just looking for a motion to have this approved so we can start getting these individuals trained. It would be 4 hours of online training, and then it would also be an additional 4 hours of in-house training as well, where Mr. Hoke would come here to the facility.
okay. Can we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
All right,
Chris, second.
okay, all in favor, I'll say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Motion carries.
Okay, that is all I had under old business. Under new business, we Train was here and did their 6-month service on our rooftop units. They found that rooftop unit number 2 was in need of an exhaust fan replacement. They had sent a proposal for that of $2,020. I can, let the board know that last year we actually changed or replaced the heat exchangers on 5 of our units on the roof. They were units number 1, 3, 4, 6, and 7. So rooftop unit number 2, which is needs the exhaust fan replacement, did not have any work done to it at that time. And the only other unit that has not had any other work done to it is rooftop unit number 5 last year either. So just looking to get an approval for this to replace the exhaust fan on the unit so it is up and running fully.
Okay, we're looking for a motion on the warden's request.
Quick question.
Yes.
That rooftop unit 2,
Mhm.
is this one of the old ones that is going to have to eventually be replaced?
They're pretty much looking, I think, in the long run, when we had talked about last year, when we looked and ended up just replacing the heat exchangers on the other 5 units, there was another proposal I think that was in there to replace all the units, and I think at some point in time that's going to have to happen. I am not exactly 100% sure how old this unit is. They didn't give me any other separate proposal to say that, the unit's X amount of years old and it would probably be more efficient to replace the unit rather than to replace the exhaust fan at this point. But I don't know at this point how old that unit actually is.
Warden, wasn't there a suggestion by the controller to do an evaluation of all of our items that are receiving maintenance? What's the status of that?
Well, I talked about that a little bit in their maintenance report too, and maintenance has not been able to get at that totally yet with the fact that one of them was out for an extended period of time. But that is on their to-do list, and at the top of their to-do list to go through all of our areas and look at all the different equipment that we have here in the kitchen as well as up on the roof and get some ages on everything. But it's not anything that they have gotten to at this point, but will be in the very near future. So I'm hoping to have something by next month for the board as to what the ages are and everything at this point.
Okay, so on this particular unit, my question would be, we have a quote for the replacement of the fan. Do we have a quote for the replacement of the unit? At least it's something to consider.
No, they did not give me a quote to replace the unit.
Okay, and
And
is
we're-
there any, go ahead, Wayne.
Yeah, that was quite expensive to replace those condensers and everything because they had to bring in a crane or something to put them up in the roof and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so looking at this fee right now, and a fan really is minor, still expensive for something we should be able to do ourselves, but I guess because of the service agreements, et cetera, I think we should replace it, and I would make that motion, but maybe not. Hopefully this unit would last till maybe do a budget request in 21 for 22 to replace it. Well, not only that unit, let's say any other unit that has not been replaced already, to look at that, evaluate them, and deal with it in next year's, and hopefully it'll last that long. If not, we'll have to deal with it. So my motion is to replace the fan.
Yeah.
Do we have a second?
I'll make that, Tony.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Motion carries.
Okay, and the final thing I have under new business, just to, let the board know that currently we have suspended the work release program, the fingerprinting, and the courts have also suspended the weekend sentences up until January 8th of 2021 due to the uptick in the COVID numbers. So currently, right now, all those programs are currently suspended.
What was the date of that, Drew, Tim, so far?
January 8th,
Okay.
2021.
Okay.
And I think what that was, Chris, I think we were looking at, I think it might have been a 2 month or I don't know, either 1 month or 2 months, but it would have fallen on New Year's Eve for them to return. So
Right.
we extended it an additional week to January 8th.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further on old or new business, Warden?
That is all I had, Sheriff.
Does the board have anything for old or new business? All right, with that, we'll move on to correspondence.
Nothing.
And Mr. Solicitor, any report today?
Nothing additional.
Okay, thank you. Is there any further business before the prison board today? None being requested, we will adjourn our meeting. Thank you, everyone, for participating.
Hey, thank